Hi! How's everybody doing? Maybe you're a little less forgetful than I am. It's towards the end of the week, it happens. Anyway, we are continuing on with the recipes from movies I've always wanted to try, I always love to try. And today is our entree of the week. We are doing the pizza from Mystic Pizza, or as best as the internet can guess that it is. So let's get to it. I know what I forgot. Alright, so one, I don't own any rights to Mystic Pizza. I don't make money off this, but I don't own any rights to it. But Mystic Pizza is a movie, it's either the late 80s or early 90s. It's one of Julia Roberts' kind of first bigger roles. And she's in it. There's a group of girls. They work at a pizzeria. An older couple runs it. It's like a family business, but they didn't have any daughters. So they kind of treat all the girls as though they were their daughters. But we're watching what they're doing. It's definitely, a coming of age story for these girls. Seeing their different relationships with either their significant others or with each other and with their families. It's a really good movie and obviously features their pizza and like the secret recipe and a food critic coming and kind of trying to guess what the secret is and everything. So it's always been one to want to figure out. So that's why we're making it. Let's get to it now. It's time for another episode of Cooking with Kaitlin. That's me. Enjoy. Alright, so we're going to be using the stand mixer for the dough. If you recall from the last time I made dough with the cinnamon buns a couple weeks ago, I was like, I'm going to use this in the future because it just seems smarter. It is. So we're doing 1/2 cup of warm water. Then we're going to do a teaspoon of sugar. Then it's going to be 2.5 teaspoons of active yeast, or quick rise yeast actually. That's what it said. Although mine reads as rapid rise, but I'm going to assume that they are pretty similar. We're going to measure out, because they're just like, oh, one package, but it equals 2.5 ounces. And I was like, I don't know that every package equals 2.5 ounces. I've only been using yeast a little thus far. So we're going to measure to be on the safe side. And maybe it does. That's 1. There's 2. Oh my goodness, it really does just do 2.5. Okay. Well guys, now we know. And we did not automatically know that before, but now we do. The more you know. Forgot to mention earlier. Never mind. We're going to let this dissolve, do its thing for 5 minutes. Just give it a little spin. All right. Oh, that's what it was. Don't start preheating your oven yet. We've got time, and we don't pre-bake this crust. All right, so we're going to let it stand 5 minutes, then we'll check back. All right, so it's had its 5 minutes. Now we are adding in 1.25 cups of flour. Going to add in a teaspoon of olive oil. And then 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to let this do our heavy lifting for us today. Just good by me. Then we'll need to scrape down the sides a bit, and we're also going to wind up adding a little bit more flour just to kind of keep it from sticking. Want to make sure, now let's get it again and make sure it actually needs it, because it might be where we need it to be. Just says you may need another tablespoon or so of the flour, or yeah, the flour to get the dough to not be sticking. But we may be spot on the money here, huh? Yes, indeed. Nah, it's gonna need a little bit more flour. They were right. We're starting with 3 tablespoons. All right, that's feeling much better. Definitely at the point where it's at the kneading, and they say you can just do this on speed 2 for about a minute or so. It's been going on speed 1 for a little over a minute. So I'm going to do speed 2 for about a minute, minute and a half. Before we put it in a bowl to rise. So yeah, way less messy on this front. Also, pizza dough is just less in general, but that is a handy tool. And as I have some other plans for things involving yeast and dough and whatnot in the coming weeks and months and all, this is going to be a great attachment to get used to using. So good on that. All right, I'm going to pause you guys while we get ready for the next step. All right, so we put the dough in a coated bowl. Kind of was a bigger bowl than needed. So I'm just getting that coating kind of all over it. I'm just going to cover it. I'm going to let it stand for about, I think it's 30 minutes, but let me check. Yeah, 30 minutes. And then we'll check back on that, and we'll be prepping our other stuff next. So hang tight. All right. Now we've got just a little smidge bit of heated oil. We've got 3 garlic cloves, freshly minced, coming in there. We're gonna just lightly saute those for a couple minutes, then add the rest of our spices and just plain basic tomato sauce to make our tomato sauce for the pizza. Getting some nice aromatic stuff going with the garlic here. Very, oh, you just can't go wrong with garlic. You really can't. All right, I'll come back when it's time to add the other stuff. All right, now we're adding in a tablespoon of oregano. Tablespoon of cilantro. We're doing, I never know why, I guess because you can just put it on pizza like that. Teaspoon. Let me give it a stir so nothing's burning there at the bottom. Whew, big aromatics going. Of the red pepper. And then a teaspoon of fennel seeds. And finally 8 ounces of plain tomato sauce. There we go. Whew. A little splashed out. It happens. Let's make sure we've got all of it out and nicely mixed. Now we're going to let it kind of come up to a little boil, and then we're going to let it simmer for about 20 minutes. Be there soon, because I can kind of hear it on the bottom, but we're just not there at the tippity top. Oh, nope, there it is. See? You see the bubbles? So we're going to reduce heat and let it simmer for 20 minutes. So we will check back in a little bit. And I just added in, I forgot, the other 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So you're getting that a little stir in and letting it do its simmer for 20 minutes. Hi, so thought the mic was on. So just kind of pre-shaping it a little, and then we're going to roll it. On a floured surface. Try to get it to be a circle as best as possible. But we may have to reshape a little with our hands, and that's okay. Skill I will have to work on, though it was not actually recommended for this, was like the tossing of the pizza dough. But I'm watching like professional chefs do it, which is intriguing. And you're supposed to be practicing with dish rags, which I kind of do. And as anyone who knows me very well will tell you, I am not the most coordinated person, so we're going to keep practicing until we get that down pat before we do our next pizza with the dough, so that I don't totally mess it up. All right, hang tight. All right, so we greased and then put cornmeal on the pizza pan. Now we've got it on there. All right, and this is gonna be how we can kind of reshape it. We're just kind of crimping the edges, and I'm gonna kind of shift some of the shape to help it become more circular. May not be a perfect circle, but it's gonna be as close as I can kind of get it. It's kind of becoming that crust. See, that's where it's okay if it's not exactly perfect as a circle, because we're shaping it to be more circular. It's probably a little more oval, a little more oval-esque, and that's okay. We're also just doing just a little bit of the cornmeal around the crust edge, just a smidge. Kind of sprinkling it there, because we don't have to have it on the crust that's going to all get covered, but just having some around that crust edge. All right, and then we're going to cover this back up for 10 minutes, and then it'll be time to put it all together. And in the meantime, we're preheating the oven to 450. So we'll check back in 10 minutes. All right, it's almost time to get the pizza going, but we're going to get our cheese prepped. We've got about 1.5 cups of mozzarella. And if you've seen the movie, remember the food critics tasting everything, and the cheese clearly had some seasoning to it. So we're doing just a couple taps of the paprika, just a smidge bit of oregano, a little bit of the cilantro, maybe just a smidge bit more of the paprika. because it was just kind of there. He couldn't quite put his finger on it. But that's what it was. At least that's what most people agreed with from the sound of it, in terms of in the sauce and then in the cheese a little bit too. All right. It's time to assemble. And our oven has preheated very nicely to 450. Then sauce is just waiting to get out on this. And I know you could just get a frozen pizza or order a pizza. There's definitely pizzas we love from the grocery and from local pizzerias. But it's fun to get to make your own. Especially one from a movie like that where it's just so known for being this amazing pizza that everybody wants, that people want to know how to make and know the secrets to. There's something really fun about that. All right, so we got all that on there. And we're doing our cheese. And if you like yours a little less cheesy, you could always go a little less than we did. But you want enough to cover it. See, it's not like it's about to be overly coated. At least not by my standards. I like a good cheesy pizza. Maybe that's also why the Mystic pizzas always appeal to me. It's been like just a more, intense version of a good cheese. And with these spices, not hard to see why. All right. I'm going to put this in the oven for about 10 minutes until the crust is nice and golden and the cheese is nicely melted. And then we will check in then. Guys, look, oh, it looks so good. Does. It looks so tasty. It smells so good. We didn't even have to do the broiler trick. It just did it all on its own in those 10 minutes. It was perfect. All right, I'm going to let it rest just a couple minutes and then slice on into it and enjoy. Bon appetit. Catch you later.